Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this week 1 Rung 4 match for this LEGO The Hobbit restricted any percent tournament. Today we have Deadtra against Origin of Chaos against Nolan. I am commentator Captain Paxo, and joining me as well will be Mega.
Hello.
And yeah, I think we're pretty near ready to go. So if all the runners want to get themselves into the point where they can skip the opening cutscene and then Alt-Tab, we can get this started. But they'll just make their way there, making sure all their V-Syncs are on, which is always a good sign. And we will be good to go with this. Origin, by the looks of it, is already ready. Overachieving already. And looks like Deadtra's at a good point. We'll just wait for Nolan to get there. Okay. I think we are good. So we will count the runners down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Best of luck to all the runners. Then we should see timer will start to, or the games will start to unfreeze as they alt-tab out the game. We do have a bit of a delay before starting, but that's fine. And yeah, we are good to go.
So the starting level is Greatest Kingdom of Middle-earth. It's a pretty interesting level. It's a kind of a combination of micro optimizations as well as 2 one-try tricks. So even being the first level, it's actually still quite difficult.
Yeah, this level has quite a large skill progression, skill ceiling, even just in this first room. We'll see, by the looks of it, Deadtra is able to get through this a bit more cleanly than Origin, certainly. Nolan a little bit behind, but started a little bit later as well. There's so many kind of micro-optimizations to do in these opening levels, or in this opening level, including character management. We see, yeah, Deadtra and Nolan have got Thorin on player 1, but more importantly, closer to the kind of going down the stairs. Origin had Thorin on player 1, but further the other way. Small things like that, it all starts to compound, and it's like, this level has a ton of kind of half-a-second time saves.
You might have seen Nolan try to cut the corner coming down the stairs. Pretty sure that Origin just kind of ran down. So there's just a few kind of couple seconds just here and there that you can really easily cut off. So going into the next room, which is the first really big one-try trick, this is called Gem Skip. It actually saves about 1:30. So what players are going to do is they're going to jump over the cutscene trigger and then drop out just before they drop over, and then drop back in on the other side of this cutscene trigger. And we see Deadtra just get it right there. Nolan seems to have gotten it, and Origin's going for it now, and he should be clear of it. Going into the next room, there's a new mechanic kind of in LEGO The Hobbit where the characters have to collect materials. Something that can catch runners out is if they don't collect 4 wood and 2 rope, you kind of get stuck in the building. Normally you can get enough materials, but there's just sometimes when you just don't get enough, and then you're kind of having to run around to find things to smash to get more materials.
Yeah, no, there should be normally more than ample amount of materials to be able to get. There is, I think, for the method all these runners are doing it, there is one scenario where there's a problem. Origin looks to be having quite a big issue there. What happened on Origin's side? Did he give the whistle too early?
Yeah, I think he has. He might have to reset. Yeah, he's gonna have to reset.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate soft lock. Yeah, Origin's just gonna have to reset that.
Another mechanic that you can kind of see on Deadtra's and Nolan's screen is this building minigame. It's actually quite a big part of the LEGO The Hobbit games. But because we sequence break the game so much, this is the only time we're going to see it.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I don't think of that often. We only see this mining mechanic here, but the main thing is trying to make sure we get these perfect hits with both characters. It is a little bit difficult to do so, depending on the RNG.
So the other thing that you can kind of see is this mining mini game that's kind of going on. Nolan slowly going, I think, is currently in the lead. Right now, they're going into the second big one-try trick in the game, where you've got to jump over this barrier, which completely sequence breaks this level. Deadtra seems to get it, but Nolan might have to go for the backup. And Origin's just restarting the level. It's a huge time loss. So Nolan's going for the backup. What the characters have to do is buddy up and do what's called a hover swing. The way this works is that you buddy up, neutral stick, and then you can just keep chaining buddy swings together. Dedra's currently taking a huge lead over the other two runners. So Dedra's currently going into the gold room. In here, there's kind of two routes that runners could take. The first route is they pull the statue down and do hover swings across the room. Or the faster method is gold jumps. It looks like Dedra's going to go for gold jumps. What it is you're jumping and doing a buffered one frame trick, making sure that you're neutral stick for when you're jumping, and you can just jump across the gold, which is normally just a kill plane. So Dedra's exiting out of Greatest Kingdom of Middle-earth into a auto-scroller. It's currently looking on a really good time.
Yeah, this has looked like
Nolan
a very
is,
clean,
yeah.
very clean auto-scroller from Deadtra here. Nolan going into the gold jumps, trying to get a vertical buddy up, while Origin's re-attempting gem skip. And
Nolan looks like he's
it.
going...
Sorry, yeah.
Nolan's looking like he's going for the hover swing approach, so we're going to see the differences between the two techniques. The hover swings is significantly slower than the gold jumps, as you'll see.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Hopefully Origin doesn't give the flute too quickly this time, but it looks like it should be fine.
That soft lock for Origin, because we didn't really explain it, but what happens is you can give that flute kind of pretty frame perfectly to Bofa before the actual camera pan starts, and if you do that, that's what leads to the soft lock. So easy to do with a little bit of nerves kind of going through you. It's easy to kind of half make that mistake, but obviously Origin does have a lot of catching up to do now. We see Deadtra instead is going for bush launch, obviously in a clear lead right now, but makes it over the invisible wall with bush launch. That's good. That can be a potential sticking point. And then we'll be hovering across the river here. Goes for 5 hovers by the looks of it. That's a large margin of safety on that, which I don't blame him. He's already got, by the looks of it, over a minute lead to Nolan. And I think at the very least a 3-minute lead over Origin.
A big issue with this out of bounds area is the next river that's coming up. If you get one of the players stuck on the other side of the river, you're going to end up having to redo this whole section. So you really kind of don't want to be making mistakes in this out of bounds area. One of the things that we haven't said is this out of bounds area that we're currently doing lets us skip from level 1 all the way to level 11, skipping the majority of the game. This is what lets the any percent record and the restricted any percent record have such a low time.
Yeah, no, we're gonna see from these runs, we skipped 13.5 out of the 16 levels in this game, I think. Maybe 12.5. It's something like that.
Nolan.
But, yeah, sorry.
I was just gonna say Nolan was kind of having a little bit of trouble with getting over bush, but he seems to have got it now, and seems to have a good angle on the hovers across, going for 4 hovers or 5, 6. Yeah, he's 7 hovers across, and we can see Deadtra's just missed River 2. Luckily, it's not too much of a time loss because he's just on the close river, but it's still an easy mistake to make.
Yeah, we saw from Nolan's side of things, obviously playing in the qualifier, beating Acute in the qualifier to make it into the main draw of the tournament. Nolan is a very, very safe player with this game. I mean, we saw that going for the hovers rather than the kind of more optimal gold jumps in the final room that Origin is in right now, which is in Greatest Kingdom in Middle-earth. We'll also probably see it in levels like On the Doorstep, that unless he's under pressure, he will just take the safe route around certain places. Deadtra, meanwhile, is going to hit the trigger for looking for proof here. Lines up the camera a little bit too far to the left to me.
So this trigger drops us into the last room of level 11. And an interesting thing about this room is that the exit to the level is actually right below where you enter. And so what you can do is actually jump over and die and trick the game into respawning us at the actual exit area, skipping over a whole annoying kind of walking along a path section. You can kind of see when Gandalf kind of was coming out, he kind of does this shuffle, and it takes a long time to actually do this room casually.
Yeah, what we
Nolan's
saw from what we saw from Deadtra there was actually a drop in too early. Deadtra was too eager to get control of both players in the bottom four and actually dropped in before Gandalf had died there, and that meant that he got the respawn back up at the top of this section. So small time losses from Deadtra, definitely not an impenetrable lead at this point, and I think Nolan has caught up, or at the very least kind of maintained this lead, which is not too bad, all things considered.
If I was these players in this situation, being a knockout tier, I'd be really focusing on consistency and just making sure that I get the tricks. So doing the extra hover swings, things like that, is really good idea, just to make sure that you're not kind of in the knockout danger route, not making like the small mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Deadtra is coming into Necromancer. This has a really big one-try trick coming up called Birdless. What we do is we get one of the characters kind of stuck partly inbound, partly out of bounds in a falling animation. And the game just kind of keeps building up vertical momentum. And so when we release them, they get launched really high into the air. But we've seen kind of in some of the like tier 1 and tier 2 runners making just some simple mistakes and kind of having to do the room with the backups or just in the casual techniques. It's one of the more challenging kind of tricks if it goes wrong, but we'll see what happens with Deadtra. So you can kind of see he's kind of getting Gandalf and he's about to jump out of bounds. And he kind of lands and now he's going to drop him out. We can kind of see that Deadtra's currently got about a minute 25 lead over Nolan. But because of the number of like one-try tricks, that lead can be eaten up very quickly. Deadtra seems to have gotten a really good launch with Birdless, and he's over and should be going into the next room. With Origin kind of just getting to River 2 right now. So he's got a big amount of time to try and catch up.
Yeah, but if you're Origin here, you gotta go for fundamentals, go for the safety. I mean, Origin does have a better PB than Nolan at the very least, and Nolan, with going for these safe strats, you know, still isn't 100% consistent. It's definitely not an impenetrable lead at all.
Definitely. The other thing is that Origin's PB is an RTA time, not a load remove time. So there's kind of a bit of unknown in that as well. There's probably another 30 to 40 seconds that might be possible that he could PB with a load remove time.
Yeah, the difficulty for Origin will be getting down to that PB level. I mean, he's close. He had a really good run earlier today. which was, I think, with a third try jack launch, he would have made it. It ended up as a 29, but otherwise it would have been a couple of seconds PB. But not quite here.
Nolan waited a really long time on Birdless. And seems to be a good launch. And he's over it. He should be able to go into the next room now.
Every time Nolan does that, it feels risky because he goes so far back that he's almost at risk of overdoing it and dying behind the wall, which we have seen him do before. We saw that him do that in one of the qualifying matches with Acute, and I believe it was the one that allowed Acute to come forward and win that match. So, oh no, Acute didn't win the match, but at least, you know, close things up a lot more. I think Acute took the lead through into the final room of the final level. So there are those kind of fragilities in Nolan. Obviously, he's had a few days, almost a week, to be able to kind of try and patch these up and fix them. He got a PB yesterday of 28:15 time. But even so, there's still, he's still opening the door for that potential to happen, let's say.
Yeah, and especially with On the Doorstep coming up in the next level, there's just so many opportunities to lose huge amounts of time. It wouldn't be that hard to be able to catch up if something goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
So currently we see Deadtra in the a boss fight between Gandalf, Radagast, and Sauron. What the players are trying to do is build these towers and shoot them. The real optimization in this level is trying to build the tower as soon as it like hits the ground, and then shoot it as soon as possible. There's not much time to be saved. If you look at the gold splits between like the top runners, it's like fractions of seconds in this this section between the auto scholar and this boss level. Origin has just gotten up to Birdless, so we'll see how this goes for him. It'll be a real. He seems to have gotten a good position for Gandalf, and so it'll just be on the timing of how long he leaves it for. So Deadtra is about a whole cycle ahead of Nolan. So Nolan seems to be getting a little bit of catching up a little bit. So we'll see if he's able to like decrease that lead that Deadtra has over him. Origin also seems to be actually making up a lot of ground as well. But currently it's about a 3-minute advantage Deadtra has over Origin for Origin entering into Necromancer. So it's a big time kind of gap to make up, but still possible. So the next trick that's going to be coming up after Necromancer is called Icicle. So it's not really a sequence break, it's just a shortcut that you can do. So we're going to use the power of friendship. What's going to happen is you kind of saw bush launch. If you get two kind of characters doing the buddy up and you kind of restrict them from being able to, the game kind of gets a bit confused and then just launches you straight vertically up into the air. Icicle can be one of those kind of tricky ones where it kind of feels like it's not going to work and you kind of just lose time getting stuck there, just getting kind of small launches over and over again. We kind of saw in one of the other races where top tier runner kind of probably didn't have the most game sense or game knowledge and kind of didn't know how to adapt in this situation. It's kind of one of the really interesting things in kind of speedrunning is that it's not just about skill performance, but it's also about like game knowledge and adaptability of if something goes wrong, how do you adjust? Do you know your backups? And the real consistency in kind of racing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's it can be a pretty snowballing trick if things go wrong. Deadtra has fallen down here, chooses not to go back up with Dwalin and instead chooses to go with Bilbo. The thing is,
Bilbo's... Sorry, you go.
yeah, I was going to say, these characters do have very subtly different hitboxes, I think, for the most part, which can interfere with setups for launches. And think Deadtra might be finding that out the hard way. I know for this launch in particular, even if Dwalin falls down, I'm always wanting to have Dwalin on
Oh,
my player
that's
too.
a real shame.
Mm.
He's fallen down with both characters. So Balin and Bilbo seem to have quite different hitboxes. So it actually changes some of the launches that we're able to do. There's kind of a type of launch called a disconnect launch, where you put characters into a bug state. And we're really finding that the hitboxes kind of really affects these launches. So you really want to be kind of being consistent with which characters you're using.
Yeah, Deadtra still struggling. That one looks good, but is walking in the wrong direction and just about makes it. I didn't know you
Oh,
could make it
just
up
makes
there.
it.
That was a very non-standard direction to be facing with the camera while going up there, and just about manages to maintain this lead. We see Nolan is now immediately at Icicle launch, and that's how much of the gap has potentially closed up. A quick Icicle launch here for Nolan, and he's right back in contention to win this race. Origin, unfortunately, still a decent bit behind, but
Oh, that looks like a
Nolan,
good
yeah,
launch.
nicely done from Nolan. And yeah, that'll put him right back in contention with Deadtra. Deadtra, meanwhile, getting one of the hardest launches in the game, which is fast OTD, to be able to get up to this other level. It's one that most looked at in terms of trying to find a setup and such, and there's a lot of different kind of nuances and stuff to it. I know Mega does a completely different setup to most people,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's
That
just about able to get it.
that setup comes from playing co-op, where I'm used to having a second player get into a certain position. And so it's just easier for me to kind of remember that setup than try and learn the 1P2C setup.
Yeah,
We see Nolan going for the slower version, where you're able to do a hover swing and kind of sequence break the level. So not going for the launch, but it's a much more safer a route to take. And I'm expecting Origin to probably take the same route. You say Deadtra? Sorry.
yeah, I was gonna say I think Origin does still do the same route. He hasn't let fast OTD yet. Does do Icicle launch. I know that for a fact. But yeah, there's a few strats which neither of Nolan or Origin will go for. We'll see. Nolan now will be trying to go for statue skip. It's only a room behind Deadtra. Deadtra finishing off the end of On the Doorstep. Nolan, I think Nolan's probably gained about a minute into his
Yeah.
lead. Oh, that's an
Oh, just
unfortunate
straight
death.
into the cutscene. It almost looked like he was going to get the full statue launch, which lets you get up to that top platform, skipping the ladder, but just kind of hit the kill plane. Deadtra had a really clean looking room too of On the Doorstep. So you see Origin going into Icicle right now. Kind of looking at a weird camera angle on character facing angle on Dwalin. So we'll see if he's actually able to get it.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed with Origin, and this is a kind of pattern here, is he doesn't like moving his non-buddy up in character unless he has to. Icicle launch is one you really want to do that. It increases the consistency dramatically to have Thorin kind of running diagonally into the corner between the icicle and the wall. So we see he actually gets it that time, intentionally or not. Thorin was moving into the wall itself, so he was able to get it there. And I'd imagine he'll be going for safe strats in this room.
Yeah. So you see Deadtra trying to do a whip, a flail kind of thing. He's trying to get round the outside of the statue. If you get it first try, it saves about 2-ish seconds over the conventional route, but he seems to be really struggling, which is letting Nolan kind of really catch up.
Yeah, he's really having a nightmare with this. By the looks of it, the angle you have to hold with this is very weird. Finally gets it, but it's quite a weirdly precise angle in that you have to be kind of a little bit wider than, or a little bit wider the statue, but then
Yeah.
you need to kind of cut in a little bit. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. And yeah, just like that, Nolan is 2 floors, I think, behind
Yeah, two
Deadtra.
floors. So
Certainly.
Deadtra is going to be...
Sorry.
I was going to say, Deadtra is going to be trying to set up for a camera pan skip. So what he's going to do is try and die at the same time that the cutscene is triggered. And so what that's going to do is actually going to start the camera pan skip in the next floor while the current cutscene is playing. So the game kind of gets confused and kind of lets you just skip about a 5-second camera pan. So it looks like it's good. He should be able to get this. We see Nolan just getting up to that statue skip that we were talking about just before.
Yeah, Nolan getting it first try is absolutely phenomenal. I'm honestly surprised Nolan goes for that. That is about a 2 or 3 second time save versus just using the flail on the statue and then moving to the trigger. But Nolan maybe feeling like he's got a bit of time he needs to catch up, so is hunting for that win. Win here. Sorry, yeah.
Yep. So what we see here is Deadtra is actually going for a huge sequence break, by doing a flail jump over the chandelier. You actually skip a whole kind of little mini game here where Smaug is kind of hunting you as you try to walk along the section, and it's actually kind of a really frustrating, annoying kind of section to play casually. But we're able to just skip all over that entirely. Origin seems to be having a little bit of trouble with this launch off the tree. You do a spin off the geometry and it kind of boosts you up. And he kind of seems to be a little stuck here. Almost getting it, but it's fine. Yeah, there we go. Finally getting it. So we got Nolan just at the chandelier. Probably about 30 seconds, maybe 35 seconds behind Deadtra at the moment. But definitely with the launches that are coming up, really in with a chance for winning this. One of the annoying things with this game is, even though we're playing with the no cuts cheat code, which lets us skip cutscenes, at the end of the game, there's this about a minute 40 cutscene which you can't skip over, which is pretty kind of like you're on world record pace. You come into this cutscene and you just got to sit there, kind of your heart racing, and then a couple of really kind of difficult kind of launches all in a row, which you can just lose huge amounts of time on.
Yeah, the good thing with our point of view is it allows us to build the hype up a little bit more for for this end section here. So obviously we have a point system coming into this race if we go through the format. So the runners will be doing 3 races in this. 3 races against each other. If you win a race, you get 3 points. If you come second in a race, you get 1 point. And then if you come third, you don't get any points. So obviously winning is the most important thing that we can get here. And we'll see Deadtra go for the first of 3 difficult launches to end this run off. This first one here, it can be quite difficult to get a buddy up.
We haven't really said, but the type of buddy up that you can get affects the type of launch. Well, if you it can try and give you 2 types of buddy ups, and you're really needing a horizontal buddy up to actually get the launch. So if you kind of see them kind of getting stuck, they're getting the wrong buddy up. And so we see Deadtra try to go for lost launch, but he probably jumped a little bit too early, and so he doesn't really get the height that he's needing. So he's having to go for this backup over here. And so this really kind of gives Nolan an opportunity to kind of catch up. Because we've seen in kind of some of the other races, players losing a lot of time to this. But he seems to have just made it over quite easily, and Nolan's right at that first kind of launch. And he seems to have gotten enough height.
Yeah, not too bad from Deadtra. We'll see Nolan go for Loz launch here as well. This is a bit of a difficult one again to get the buddy up on. Gets it. Is that enough height?
Well, just enough height. One of the things is that you can kind of get enough height on that, grab the rail, and then just fall off because you're trying to race around too fast. But kind of Nolan seems to just have good consistency and is easily able to make it up. And so the next room that they're kind of transitioning into is just a bit of 1P2C, where they kind of have to shoot some signs to hit the right code. But luckily the code is the same every single time, so we know how we're going to have to hit it.
Yeah,
so we see Origin just now getting into the unskippable cutscene. So he's a fair way behind the other runners at the moment.
But the last launch that we have in this game, which Deadtra will be coming up to in just a few seconds now, is Jack Launch. And Jack Launch is a very, very difficult launch to get. There's a pretty precise setup to make it work, which I believe Deadtra does.
Swap over. Sorry.
Yeah, no, keep going.
Some players swap over onto keyboard to try and make this launch easier. I personally find using keyboard makes it easier. But we'll see if these runners are actually going to do that, or if they're kind of just going to do the do it using a controller. It's kind of a really precise trick, and it's also one of those tricks where it just kind of you can kind of feel cheated. You see Deadtra kind of get he gets the launch, but it's just kind of the wrong direction. And so Nolan really has an opportunity to win here if he gets a good launch before Deadtra can. Because Deadtra seems to have gotten really stuck. He just got a kind of a medium-sized launch. It seems to be a good launch, but he made it over the invisible wall. Looks like he's going to take the win. It's so close. We're going to have to check the time on that. That was so close.
Okay, hoping for the final time to come up on the runner overlay in a minute. It wants to. Okay, it doesn't look like it. I can say that they have both got 29s in that one. They are 3 seconds apart on the final split. Nolan got a 29-22. Meanwhile, Deadtra got a 29-19. Take the match, or to take the win. Insanely close between both. Deadtra really left the door open for Nolan there, and Nolan tried his best to take advantage.
It's really great to see kind of these kind of close races, and you can kind of see that it's very easy to lose time. So it's really about consistency and making sure that you kind of get these tricks. So we kind of see Origin kind of stuck on the backup launch. When I was watching him in practice earlier, he was having a little bit of practice, a little bit of trouble. So we'll see if he's able to get this launch.
This launch is a little bit awkward because the game likes to give you a vertical buddy up here. But you need that horizontal buddy up. He's also buddying up with, I think, the wrong player. You need to buddy up with Dwalin here to make this work. Otherwise, yeah, buddying up with Dory just doesn't.
Got some good launch there.
Gets it eventually. And we'll be going into this final little bit here. Been an unfortunate run from Origin, just hasn't been able to recover after that Greatest Kingdom in Middle Earth soft lock, which was very unfortunate. 3 minutes costed right at the very start, and it's always difficult to come back from that kind of deficit. Has done a decent job at least, maintaining that gap. A bit
Yeah.
of a bad on the doorstep, but I think that's just one of those things you just gotta take on the chin and move on, really. No runner hasn't uber consistent on the doorstep.
Yeah. And even taking into account the amount of time that he lost in Greatest Kingdom and Middle Earth, it would still put him in a competitive time against the other runners, um, with the times that the other two runners have kind of put up at the moment. So the big thing with the thing that Origin is kind of doing is kind of getting the timing of throwing the bombs between the two characters, so that you're minimizing the amount of downtime there is. So we see Origin kind of setting up for Jack launch. So what's required is you're needing one of the certain characters to end the level, and so what you're trying to do is get that character up to the top. He kind of gets a launch, but it's kind of in the wrong direction, which is a little unlucky.
Pushing the pieces out of the way, which is a very smart move. Could get it this time. Oh, bonks again. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's just a little bit of RNG not going his way, really. There's not too much of an indicator of something completely wrong. But yeah, gets it eventually. And we'll be finishing an up. That with a final time of 34:20. So GG's to all the runners for that first race. But of course, that does mean we get 3 points for Deadtra, no points for Origin, and 1 point for Nolan. So, yeah, good first race to start things off. Definitely got really close towards the end there. With that being said, if all the runners are ready to go straight into this second match, the second race, then you can all reset your splits and make your way to the title screen again.
So Deadtra seems to be on the long intro. So it kind of takes a little bit longer to be able to actually get to a point where you can skip.
Yeah, Dedra's going to have to go about 15 seconds further before being able to skip. Same with Nolan. We don't know what title screen Origin's got yet. Origin's got the good title screen, so he'll be able to get to that point a little bit quicker.
Everything there was to know about my adventures. It began long ago, in a land far away to the east. There was the city of Dale.
And yeah, Nolan's just starting out that bit. We'll wait to the point where Nolan's ready, and then Mega, do you want to count them down?
Yeah, I can do that. So if all runners are ready, we'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Okay, good luck to all runners again.
So there'll be a slight delay before we actually see the runners start. It's just the delay in the stream.
For this city lay before
So timings are done off load remove times, so the delay between the runners isn't actually that important.
stronghold of thrall.
So if you're these runners, Paxo, what would you kind of be thinking going into this race?
It depends on who you are, really. Deadtra's in a very strong position. I think, obviously, Deadtra's coming in with the best PB, and has just seen that even with what Deadtra would class as a bad run, a 29 is, you know, more than enough to be able to, or just about enough, maybe, to be able to squeeze out at least points from this kind of race. If I'm Deadtra, I'm very much thinking it's my race to win. I can just, you know, keep myself in a strong position here. If I'm Origin, I'm thinking not the best position, but the soft lock was unfortunate. I feel like if things had been closer, obviously would have played different, and therefore, you know, still very much has the capacity to be able to push on from here. Nolan as well, similar kind of mindset. Obviously got 1 point over Origin, which is a very important point to get in the grand scheme of things. Obviously barely missed out on the win in the previous race, and is probably going to be pushing, while still playing safe, probably going to be really wanting to throw a consistent run together to PB, and also to take maybe a race win off of Deadtra. The Deadtra going for gem skip and makes it. All three of them do. Very nice.
So as we've said earlier, this is the tier 4 race. So whoever loses this race is going to be knocked out from the tournament, and so that's probably kind of going to be in the back of all the runners' minds. Be changing how their strategy is going into each of the races.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. The most important thing here is not coming last. And you got to think Deadtra with that race win, you know, another race win, and Deadtra's place, not only place in the tournament is confirmed, but also being confirmed to be the second rung for next week, which is a very strong position to be in, playing against a loyalist. That would be very nice if Deadtra could be able to wrap that up during this run. Nolan and Origin, I think at this point, kind of have to be looking at each other. Really is, what can Origin do to get the win over Nolan? What can Nolan do to get the win over Origin?
And I really think that the name of the game is going to be consistency. Just making sure that you hit all the tricks and not making big mistakes. So all of the runners seem to be very close at the moment. I don't think there's much time difference between them.
Yeah, it looks pretty even so far. Yeah, I think Deadtra started with a bit of an advantage anyway, just from natural stream delay things. But we'll be trying to go for barrier skip here. Plays barrier skip really risky, actually. It was a very early jump onto the barrier from Deadtra, but if Deadtra's confident with it, stick to your guns, and that's worked out well. We'll see if Origin's able to get it, and Nolan. Nolan misses it. Origin gets it, so immediately it's Nolan with the advantage here.
It's about a 20-second time loss over the other runners.
Yeah, what you'll notice here from Nolan is not very well versed in the full backup here, so we'll be hitting this hint sign, which you do not need to do to be able to get the buddy up. What you need to do instead is, it's a little bit subtle, but all you need to do is run into the region where if you were buddied up, you'd be able to attack the big axe plate, and that's what allows you to buddy up. Nolan also missing the fall down into the trigger here. Looks like he was one spin too short. So it's going to be about 40-50 seconds, I think, Origin's going to have over Nolan, and Deadtra, of course, as well.
Deadtra just had a really clean gold room. getting the vertical buddy up really quickly, and some really clean gold jumps. And we kind of see Origin maybe... Oh, he gets the vertical buddy up. I thought he was going to kind of get stuck, constantly getting the side buddy up.
Oh, that's
Oh,
really
he's
unfortunate.
The issue of missing this, getting past the second platform, is that the respawn for the second player is all the way back at the start. So you effectively have to do the coin jumps all over again.
Yeah, you can technically buddy up. Oh, sorry, not buddy up. You can technically do the buffer jumps with just one player, but it is incredibly difficult to do so, and you need both players over at the end anyway. So doing what Origin's doing here is kind of the best case scenario backup for him. He's really struggling getting onto this piece of collision here, and we'll see Nolan with these hovers is probably going to be right back with him. Yeah, they are pretty much even leaving Greatest Kingdom now. They'll go into the auto-scroller. And again, that's allowed Deadtra to get first try bush launch and pull out a big lead.
But again, as we've seen in the other races, having a big lead straight out of the gate might not actually guarantee you the win. There's so many one-try tricks. There's so many areas of mistakes. So we really don't know who's going to win at this point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We see a 544 Greatest Kingdom split from Deadtra. That is very good. That's probably about 25, just over 25 seconds off of CG. Very strong to start. Yeah. Meanwhile, the other two are 3 seconds apart, leaving Greatest Kingdom. That mistake from barrier skip from Nolan and taking the safe strat in Gold Room has been balanced out by Origin struggling with the Gold Room jumps to be able to make it over. And yeah, we've got a race on our hands between these two, I think.
So both Origin and Nolan coming up to bush launch, and Origin is just Deadtra is just getting to second river. Both of them seem to be having trouble getting over, but Origin has just made it over, and so we'll see if Nolan's able to get bush launch pretty soon. Seems to be having a bit of trouble. One of the really interesting things about this launch is that it's really important the direction that the characters are facing, and so if you just kind of rush into it, trying over and over again, you kind of can get stuck in a loop where you're not going to actually be able to get a bush launch at all. And then just kind of you're hoping on luck to actually get the launch. Nolan almost slipping back into the river and just really kind of smartly doing another hover to make sure that he actually landed on the other side of the river.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we can see the gaps between Nolan and Origin in particular in real time here. We have basically Origin's just up on the kind of hillside in the background of Nolan's point of view. So about 15 seconds maybe up the road from where Nolan is. So yeah, it's very close between those two, especially at this stage. There's a lot of ups and downs that can potentially happen throughout the rest of this run. Deadtra, meanwhile, looking for proof jumps, struggling a little bit with this P1. The issue with this is if you're too close to the edge when you start your first jump, the game kind of puts you in some scripted movement to basically force you out onto the ledge. And if that happens, it's really, really annoying to kind of back it up and come back. Deadtra struggling again, coming in at a bit of a weird angle, I'd say, compared to normal. This time drops in a little bit later though, so it doesn't have to deal with a respawn higher up again. And with that, we'll be through looking for proof.
So Origin just now coming up onto River 3, and with Nolan kind of close behind, just finishing up on River 2. So normally you can make it over River 2 with about 8 swings. You can do it in 7, 9 is safe, but usually you're kind of aiming for about the 8 mark.
Yeah, I think Origin has a very unusual takeoff spot for that. He takes off on top of the sign, which means on one side of things, you're guaranteed to have enough height to be able to make it over the over to the other side, which is a good thing. But on the flip side, you're not going to have, or you're going to have to do more hovers to be able to counter for it. Origin's camera looks to be too far to the right.
He seems to be jumping in really the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Probably needs to be jumping more to the right. It's one of these tricks that is kind of a bit difficult to explain to someone until you kind of get the feel for yourself. Because while you're practicing, you just feel like you're jumping into kind of absolute nowhere. But once you kind of figure it out, it kind of gets a bit more intuitive.
Yep. And we see, again, Origin and Nolan pretty tied up here. Origin will have a small lead, especially if Nolan struggles a little bit with this jump now. It looks like he got it. And yeah, this is very close between the pair.
So we see Deadtra kind of going for birdless again. Again, this is a one-try trick. So you have to jump in. He seems to be got in a good position for Gandalf. He's got him off screen. He's going to wait about 13 seconds. And then he's going to break it to get the launch. If you wait don't wait long enough, you don't get enough height. And if you wait too long, you kind of risk kind of launching too far and landing out of bounds and then dying and then failing the trick.
Okay,
He seems to be over and into the next room.
Yeah, that was a clean enough birdless from Deadtra. There was too much height, but that's not necessarily a bad thing in this kind of race where safety is the priority. Yeah, we see the lead between Origin and Nolan has grown to about 10 seconds, but birdless might decide this. We'll see if both of these are able to be clean from both runners. Of course, everyone got it clean in the first match, or first race of this match. So we'll see if that can be repeated from Origin here. If you miss birdless, it's one of the more punishing tricks to miss. It's a 13. Oh no, sorry, it's about a minute or so at best for time loss.
There is a backup trick that you can do, but again, it's also another one trick, one try trick, which is kind of annoying to kind of try and do. Oh, Origin is in the bad full.
He gets it.
No, he seems to be in a good one. Nolan also kind of missing and is kind of stuck, and so he's gonna have to try and he's gone into. Oh, is he gonna be able to get it? If you get stuck in the vertical upright falling position, what's going to happen is you're actually going to get launched sideways, and so you actually need to build up way more momentum so you can actually kind of do a J launch, and it's a much more difficult kind of launch to get. It's very inconsistent if you can actually make it over. So we'll actually see if he's going to be able to get it.
I don't think this is going to happen. Yeah.
No way. Yeah. You have to wait almost twice as long.
Yeah. We have seen Nolan miss this before. Yeah, we have seen Nolan miss this before. We saw Nolan miss this in the one of the qualifier matches. So we will see how he is able to go in this. It looks like he might have learnt the backup in the meantime. Previously, he just did this room casually. But he's positioning Gandalf on the ledge here to be able to go for a backup. And this is a very weird backup. Basically, what Nolan is going to do is do what was the old method for the trick, which is known as fog skip. You heal both the birds here, and then position a character on this grate in a certain spot. And then what Nolan will do is count the number of flaps that the bird's wings make, and after a certain number of flaps, will kind of jump to the right. Misses it.
Yeah.
Looks
That's
like
one of the issues with going for this fog skip is you kind of, because you have to wait so long healing the birds, it's an interesting question of, do you just do the room casually because you have to wait for the birds to heal anyway, or do you just go for the trick? So it's a tough choice that the runners kind of have to make. And so if you're not really confident with fog skip, it might be the best interest to just play the room more casually, trying to overlap the cutscenes. Because what you'll see when he shoots the towers, it goes into a little animation shooting at the fog gate, and you can actually overlap these animations.
Yeah, it was a very interesting miss there from Nolan, because Nolan was in the right position to be able to get it, and then for some reason moved to the other side of the grate, which is, as the birds fly up, that the side he moved to becomes the lower side. It kind of tilts downwards, which means that it's just not possible to get the right jump over the invisible wall there. So I think that was an attempt at going for it, but a bit of lack of practice there. Origin, meanwhile, has just missed a cycle in the Necromancer. Didn't pull out the shield in time with either of the wizards, which is a big mistake from Origin. I know the kind of meta for a lot of the top runners now is to just pull that shield out immediately and just hold it this entire boss fight. Just hold the shield animation. Looks like Origin's going for the reactions to it, which are obviously it's a lot riskier, because if you hold it, then it's already there and you don't have to worry about it. So Origin missing a phase. Sorry, yeah.
I was going to say another small optimization in this boss fight is you can actually release the shield once you've got the shield up, and it starts the animation of the blue rock flying towards you. You can actually release the shield quite early and start spamming X to kind of start the animation for the tower to be created much earlier than if you just let the rock hit you, then spamming X, then the debris kind of flying out towards you. So there's lots of small optimizations that can be made in this level. And so it's kind of, even though it's kind of an auto-scrolly type of boss, there is kind of small optimizations that can be made. So you see Deadtra kind of currently going for Icicle. Had a bit of trouble previously, but seems to have gotten it pretty quickly this time. So
Yeah,
currently Nolan is about one cycle behind. Sorry, not one cycle. It's probably hasn't actually lost a huge amount of time against Origin because of missing that cycle. So might be able to kind of claw back some of that time that he lost.
I'm not sure. I mean, by the looks of it, there's still a big deficit between them. If you consider Origin's already probably about 2 minutes into the boss fight at this point. I know if you miss the Birdless and then go for the backup, if you miss Birdless and then don't go for the backup, just play the room casually, it will lose you about 1:15. I know that from experience because I did that in my tourney races.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, so did I.
Yeah. Nolan is looking to lose significantly more than that. This does look like... Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I thought Origin was one cycle behind. I didn't realize he was actually on to the final cycle.
Yeah, I mean, Origin, we'll just be finishing the boss fight here while Nolan is just about to start this first phase. Deadtra, meanwhile, is almost going to be a whole level clear of Origin. This is an incredibly dominant run from Deadtra right now. 2 minutes to the good by the looks of things, at the very least, with a clean on the doorstep. It's, yeah. Cards are looking good for Deadtra right now.
I feel like on the doorstep's really one of those run killer sections. You can have great time going into it, but it doesn't really matter until you've actually kind of done on the doorstep. That's really when the run for me is decided. You just can lose so much time there, just not getting Icicle, not getting fast on the doorstep, having trouble getting up, doing the spin launch in the tree. Just tons of time that can be kind of lost there.
Yeah, no.
Origin kind of looking like he had a really good Icicle, but just going now into on the doorstep with Deadtra a whole level ahead.
The company passed into the mountain through the secret door.
Yeah, Origin goes for the safe strats once again and on the doorstep, but it looks of it had some difficulty with it last time, even with going for these safe strats. Lost about... I don't want I think it was about a minute or something last time versus what you can optimally get. Playing it incredibly safe with these hovers around, but he's got the freedom, the kind of time to be able to do that because of Nolan making the mistake of the misbirdless and not knowing how to back it up. So yeah, Origin can take this time, take it a little bit easier than before, and won't really be punished for it. At least not at the moment. Although that probably is a sign that Origin, if he is paying attention to the runs and the runners, is not too bothered about chasing after Deadtra at this point.
So the other thing that we just saw with Origin is there's actually a camera pan skip that you can jump around. So the little rock on the side of the stairs that you can kind of jump around the camera skip, but he doesn't go for that. He just runs up the stairs, hits the camera pans, and so there's a couple of opportunities for Nolan to kind of catch up. But we got to see if Nolan can go for the fast on the doorstep and see how that is, because that will really decide if he's able to actually stay in this race or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, in the qualifier match, Nolan had one really good fast on the doorstep and one where he struggled with it for about 30 seconds to a minute and then had to back it up by doing the safe strat. So he is aware of the safe strats at the very least as a backup, but I think in this situation it's kind of fast on the doorstep is a must get. Although Origin is struggling at the moment to get a horizontal buddy up.
There's actually been quite a few developments that have been happening recently with this room, with 2 new alternative kind of strats being used, just because of how kind of inconsistent tree launch. That looked like a really a good tree launch, and it was nice.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Nolan looking like he's having a little bit of trouble with Icicle.
Yeah, from what I can tell, Nolan's not running diagonally enough into the wall, into the corner with Dwalin, I think. Might be the difference. I mean, there's a lot of nuances and different ways you can get this trick. Not looking great so far. Deadtra, meanwhile, who we haven't actually spoken about too much, has completed the first part of On the Doorstep, of Inside Information, and is currently in the unskippable cutscene. So we'll be closing out this run hopefully pretty soon. I'd say Origins at the start of kind of the section that Deadtra's just been through. It's 100% going to be on Deadtra making a huge mistake or something else happening, like breaking a box for Jack launch, that kind of thing, breaking the wrong box for Jack launch. It's going to take something like that for Deadtra to be overhauled here. Origin is strong in these kind of sections, but a 2-minute gap is a 2-minute gap.
Yeah.
Nolan is doing this with Thorin, leaving Dwalin behind. That's interesting way of doing the safe strats. Thorin does have an axe to be able to break the axe plate though, so it's not too bad. And yeah, both characters will get warped up to the top here anyway, so it's not a big deal
I'm not
necessarily.
sure Dwalin will be warped. Oh, he does? I was concerned that Dwalin won't be warped up, because if you do fast on the doorstep, whichever character the other P2 is, won't get warped up in the camera pan skip and will actually stay on the bottom. So I was a little concerned that Dwalin wouldn't be warped up.
Yeah, there's some kind of confusing Lego game logic to that, which I don't fully understand, but it is what it is. It was a really unfortunate statue launch there from Nolan. I'm not sure what happened there. But yeah, it didn't look great. Deadtra, meanwhile, getting the first. Yeah, getting the first of the 3 launches. And we'll see Origin here will be... Oh. Like Deadtra or Origin dealt with some physics there. But Origin will be setting up for the camera pan skip here. Actually, no, doesn't. Just parks Bilbo there and decides not to go for the camera pan skip. Fair enough.
Deadtra just not getting enough height. It was close, but just not enough. But to get a really good backup, that was very quick.
Yeah,
Not losing much time there.
that wouldn't have lost more than 10, I think, to have it that way around. So that's not too bad at all.
Nolan, can you still mix a flash flame? It'll only take a jiffy.
And yeah, we'll see
Ar-
Origin get Chandelier Skip. Very nice. I doubted he'd go for Toast Slide. Thought that might be a little bit too far.
Toe slide is the best trick in the game. It is just amazing. You're actually able to skip this whole cutscene. It's a really easy trick to do. It's crazy that anyone doesn't do it. You don't lose huge amounts of time if you miss it. Just to be clear, I'm being sarcastic. It is a very frustrating trick that should really only be done if you're going for world records. It's extremely punishing. We actually have only seen Hamster go for it so far in this tournament. And I don't really expect to see it from pretty much any runners besides Hamster.
Yeah, no, I mean, I haven't learned it yet. I think it's a bit of a step too far, at the very least for tournament play. But we see Deadtra here going for Jack Launch, the final launch in the run. Is dropping in player 2 by the looks of it on keyboard. Which is a strat used by a lot of runners, including myself, to make Jack Launch a little bit more consistent. Got to move this debris out the way. And then we'll be going through and closing out this run.
Nice clean Jack launch.
Yeah, done.
So we see Nolan currently just coming up to the camera pan skip trick. We haven't actually really talked about it, but the fastest movement for Barlin is actually to do his spin attack with the flail. So you've probably seen the characters kind of spin through this level. Without the spin attack, the fastest movement is actually rolling. So they're going to try to be either rolling or doing the spin attack. Because you're currently kind of in a forced kind of stealth kind of crawl animation for the whole first part of Inside Information. So we have Origin kind of currently going for Lost Launch. I'm not sure how practiced he is with this launch, but he kind of had a bit of trouble with it the last run. Looks like he probably jumped a bit too early, having to go for the backup, which we know that he had a bit of trouble with last time.
Yeah, the issue with this backup, more than anything, is making sure you don't bonk on this bit of collision. What a lot of runners tend to do here is once they get this horizontal buddy up, they'll hold full left, pretty much, or left, maybe like down left or something here to be able to get this buddy up. But yeah, this can be a very brutal launch. And we see Origin is struggling here to get a horizontal buddy up. Gets it eventually, but bonks again. I think, yeah, could definitely do with holding further left, like so. And is finally able to get it. As Nolan enters the unskippable cutscene, Origin, there is scenarios here where Origin doesn't come out of this with a second place and hence 1 point. But it is very unlikely to be that case. Origin, I would say for Jack Launch, has to play it super safe in terms of the setup, making sure the right box is broken. If the wrong box is broken, they'll have to play the room casually. And playing the room casually does lose about 2 minutes, and all of a sudden Nolan is right on his heels.
There is a backup for that room where you have to do 2 spin launches off a bit of geometry to kind of skip over a small section of the level, but it really doesn't save much time and is pretty difficult and niche. So I don't really expect any of the runners to actually know it.
No, absolutely not.
Again,
Sorry, yeah.
I was going to say, what the characters are trying to do here is you're throwing bombs at Smaug, but there's a delay between when you can hit him again. And so what you're trying to do is throw alternatively between player 1 and player 2 as quickly as you possibly can without kind of trying to go too fast and rushing.
And did I called it. Okay, Origin broke the wrong box. That is incredibly unfortunate. Does he know the backup? Or does he know how to actually play this room? This is going to be a big question mark for Origin. He does not, because he hasn't built the target from the boxes in the center that you jack launch off of.
Has he broken both boxes or just there he is? He's broken all the boxes.
He broke the top one,
Yeah.
which is very unfortunate. So yeah, he's going to have to play this casually, and all of a sudden the door is potentially open for Nolan.
Nolan having a little bit of issue getting this launch. One of the thing that runners actually do in the second room is we actually count our jumps, because the number of jumps that you do in a room actually affects which buddy up that you're kind of gonna get. And so you're also worrying about the angle that the characters are at, if the character's running or not. So there's a lot that kind of goes into this. So he gets the launch there, but we'll see how he goes with lost launch. A lot of time that he can easily make up against Origin though.
I'll be honest, I'm not sure what Origin is trying to do here. Well, I know what Origin's going for, trying to get the spin launch here, but it's not, absolutely not the play. If Origin just plays this out casually, at a relatively quick pace, he should still be fine. He needs to use Dory here to be able to drop the beam. Which I don't think he's realized yet. I think he's just working out what to do. But yeah, this is a crazy throw from Origin here. But yeah, he just needs to get Dory to drop this this like hook thing.
It was actually probably my big fear in the races was breaking the wrong box, and so I definitely made sure to spend enough time to like really make sure that I got the setup for this launch right, because we're kind of seeing now just how much time you lose if you miss it.
Yeah, we're kind of theorizing at the moment in the Twitch chat that Origin has just brought up a walkthrough for this room. Did pause for a certain amount of time, so there is a possibility that that's the case. But yeah, he does need to get Nori all the way up to the top. Nori's just kind of chilling down there. He needs both Ori and Nori up here. Nolan, meanwhile, is going to be close enough, and if I had a penny for every single time that Nolan's been in a race which has been a foregone conclusion, pretty much, and then one person has missed Jack launch, then it looks like I might have 2 pennies pretty soon. We'll see that
Origin
here.
having trouble getting the right characters to where they need to be.
He needs the other character.
There's a bunch of really obscure mechanics that you should have learned while playing the game casually, which we don't actually ever use. Like trying to build, you can actually create a tower with the hobbits, with the dwarves, which they climb up to, which you kind of are going to come into play now. And so we see Nolan going for Jack launch, just kind of missing it. So he's really good opportunity to take the second place here.
Yeah,
it seems to have a bit of geometry kind of stuck in there.
Origin's just got an axe plate to break. That's the thing. Nolan's still struggling with Jack launch. And Origin finishes it up. I believe that'll be Origin's second place there. Big scare at the end for Origin. That's the wrong person. There we go. Big scare for Origin at the end there. But just about able to survive. We'll see if Nolan can get this Jack launch, as Nolan's in the last room right there. Looks like struggling a little bit with the setup. Just doesn't seem to be working. I don't know if there's a piece of debris or something in the way. But these breaks are very strange for Nolan. Gets it eventually.
A very high launch. I was a little concerned that he was about to fall off the side of the platform there.
Yeah, it wasn't too far away in all honesty. But yeah, Nolan finishes out with a 34-46. And yeah, that is very unfortunate for Nolan. But to be fair, Nolan did come back into that game where realistically should have been out a lot earlier in that game, but Origin's mistakes brought it close. So who knows what will happen in this final race. That brings the points totals up to Deadtra with 6 points, and then Origin and Nolan with 1 point apiece as we go into this final race. If all the runners want to get themselves ready again, back to the cutscenes, that would be good. I can stop the timer as well. Looks like Nolan's redoing keybinds, that's fair. And then yeah, Nolan and Origin have the slower title screen this time. Deadtra has the quicker title screen. Yeah, if all the runners want to get to the point where they can skip the cutscene.
My dear.
And it looks like all the runners are there, so we can count it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Good luck to all 3 runners for this final race. As we just wait for them to start.
You asked me once if I had told you.
Okay, we are good to.
Our king asks you to go and oversee today's mining operations.
So, Mega, I'm going to ask you the same question you asked me at the end of, or at the start of the previous race. If you were in each of these runners' positions now, what are you thinking?
If I was Deadtra at the moment, I'd probably just be pushing for personal best because I've locked in 2 wins. I'm not really concerned about how this race is kind of going to end up. I'd just be going for all the riskiest strats I could. Just really pushing, trying to get the event PB. Between Origin and Chaos, Origin and Nolan, I'm not entirely sure. Origin might be a little kind of... he had issues with Greatest Kingdom in the first run, then he's had issues in the second run and with the final room. So I'm not really sure what kind of mindset he's gonna be in. But I'd be really trying to go for consistency. Seeing how close it is, it's really just if I can not make mistakes, even if I'm slow, I think I can win. So I'd probably be taking a little bit more time with some of the tricks just to make sure that I don't make any mistakes on them. Doing extra swings across the rivers, spending a little bit more time making sure that I set up for bush launch, taking a little bit more time to set up for icicle, just things like that. Because we're not really seeing a big time difference in kind of the way they're doing the tricks. Between the runners, it's really just kind of the mistakes that are the big differences in times between Origin and Nolan. So I'd be really pushing for that kind of consistency kind of thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, yeah, from their point of view, you know, the micro optimizations, they're kind of useful, but it's not going to make or break any of these runners. fates at this point in the tournament. What will make or break the runner's fate is stuff like what Nolan has had here. Nolan, that's not okay. Nolan.
Did he just throw the flute and then reset?
So what happened there for Nolan? This is unfortunate because the bit of inexperience on Nolan's part. That was not a soft lock. What happened was Nolan went to attack the rubble to try and get wood and rope and knock some of the rocks in the background. The rocks in the background then fell in such a way that they pushed Bofur away from his original spawn point. Nolan thought that was a soft lock because he can't give Bofur the wand, which is correct until about 10-15 seconds into the kind of situation where that stops. Bofur moves back to the original position and you can give him the flute. But Nolan with a bit of a lack of game knowledge there, not realizing that, you know, that isn't a full soft lock, which is unfortunate because it's a 2-minute time loss for Nolan here, and immediately Nolan will be on the back foot.
He also seems to kind of be a bit nervous, missing a kind of a corner cut there, and kind of that thing we've been talking about with consistency. So kind of he's probably trying to think that he needs to really rush to catch up. But if he's not consistent, he's going to be making mistakes and actually end up like just snowballing the time loss. So we see Deadtra just a little bit ahead of Origin, getting over the barrier skip, with Origin just a little bit behind him, probably 5-ish seconds behind.
Yeah, not too far behind, but yeah, there definitely is that that gap between Deadtra and Origin. But for Origin, what Deadtra does is kind of irrelevant in this situation. Origin can go for the win. It'll be a statement win to say, look, you got 6 points, or you got 6 or 7 points, I got 4 points. That's like one race here or there difference. So Origin could be doing that, but also Origin's main competitor is Nolan here. It is a straight kind of dogfight between Nolan and Origin. Winner goes through, loser is eliminated. So yeah, it's interesting between those two. I'm sure, you know, there'll be opportunities for Nolan to be able to catch back up to Origin, but you know, they are few and far between, and Nolan's going to have to string together a really clean run. You'd probably say a run better than PB level, but of course with that soft lock it ends up a little bit, or it ends up whatever it is, plus 2 and a bit minutes. But yeah, he's got to string together a really solid run here to be able to push through.
Both Deadtra and Origin are looking like they're going to get decent times out of Greatest Kingdom of Middle-earth. Both had really good gold rooms. Nolan only just now getting to the building in the 3rd room.
That, my dear.
There really isn't that much time at the moment between Origin and Deadtra. We see 5-second time difference between the two of them out of Greatest Kingdom and Middle-earth. Deadtra tried to seem to have a little bit more speed for either section than Origin in the previous runs. And now he's seeming like he's going to have a little bit of trouble with Bush Launch, but we'll see how it goes. Both of them getting over pretty quickly. Origin may be catching up a little bit here, just because of Deadtra getting stuck. Both of them seem to be taking really conservative amounts of swings to get across. Again, as I said earlier, a big thing with Hub 1 is really just making sure that you get across. So I'm saying about being conservative, they really just need to make it across. There really is a very small time difference between Deadtra and Chaos Origin. Both of them using the same strat when it comes to River 2 and River 3. Both of them kind of using hover swings. Neither of them seem to be going for the new Jeff launch. Nolan only just now getting to coin skips. And again, Nolan goes for the statue pull down and the hover swings. He doesn't go for the coin jumps.
I don't hate Nolan not changing the strats here. I think you
Yeah,
gotta stick
definitely.
to your guns, stick to what works. But if there are, you know, known faster strats from Nolan, it is the time to pull them out. But obviously, not going anything you don't know. That was part of the hole he fell into in the previous race, trying to go for the birdless backup fog skip, which he just clearly wasn't fully practiced, fully versed in the setup, and it came back to bite him. So I think sticking to his guns is definitely a good idea here.
It looks like Origin might slightly be in the lead at this point. But we'll need to see the times.
Yeah, this is looking close between these two, which is a really good sign for Origin. Insanely good first try trigger hit. We know Deadtra's been struggling a little bit with this, but so's Origin, to be fair. Like, getting the deaths pretty cleanly as well. That should work. Yep.
What is Origin's 1P2C skill compared to Deadtra's? Because that might be part of the differences that we see where Origin might be able to claw some time if he's better.
I'd say, yeah, Origin's been around a little bit longer than Deadtra. They both have played probably a similar number of games in terms of how well versed each of the other is. Probably a similar number of hours now, because Deadtra's been playing more recently, but probably also been putting in more time to it. Especially as Origin's... Sorry, yeah.
I was just going to say, just looking at the times right now, Origin has a 5-second lead over Deadtra coming out of looking for proof.
Yeah, that's next to nothing. And we see Nolan as well, getting a good bush launch. But yeah, he's 3.5 minutes behind at this point. It's a long way back for Nolan. Kind of in... Well, it is in Origin's hands now to see if a similar level of mistake, honestly, to last run is made again. Nolan's got to be near pacing PB to have any kind of shot here. But yeah, it's looking close up front. It would be a big, I think, big confidence booster, and also, yeah, just a big highlight, big strong point for Origin to be able to take a race win here. Even though, in the grand scheme of things, it's relatively meaningless. It's yeah, definitely a lot more confidence for him. See how this birdless goes. Okay, fails to get out of bounds.
Deadtra looking like he's got a good position on Gandalf.
Yeah, Origin failed to jump out of bounds first time, and is in the same kind of position as Nolan was. But
he seems to be able to save it.
That's such a weird position. He lands so high up on the collision. But it seems like it's high enough up that it's over the normal high point where you get stuck and into the forced kind of standing up or bonking animation. It's a really different way of hitting this than I've seen compared to a lot of other runners. But it seems to be working. I believe that's Origin 3 for 3 on birdless, so whatever he's cooking, it's something tasty. Has allowed Deadtra to pull out. Sorry, yeah.
Here you go.
I was just going to say, Origin has allowed Deadtra to pull out a small lead here, just because of, you know, messing up that birdless out of bounds attempt and having to redo it. But that's not too bad a thing. You know, keeping pace with Deadtra will still be a big plus point for Origin if it can continue.
I was just gonna say, Nolan has only just finally crossed through a free, trying to hit the out of bounds trigger for entering into looking for proof. Fast jump down with player 1. Seems to get down with player 2 as well, but drops in too soon. He seems to have picked up studs, so I wonder if he's going to notice and so die to stud drain. But it seems like he has. Something we haven't talked about is if you have any amount of studs, you get shown a extra screen in these end level menus, which you lose about 4 seconds on. So for looking for proof and necromancer and on the doorstep, you're really trying to make sure that you're going into the end triggers with 0 studs. Necromancer is a really nice one because we actually have a really long time to stud drain. So you're going to probably see the characters trying to either be killed by the goblin or just jumping over the edge to get their studs down.
Yeah, we'll see Nolan. Next big trick is definitely Nolan going for birdless here. This will be. It's a must get for Nolan. Let's be realistic. Nolan has to get this. There's the messing around with the backup is just not going to do him any favors. But yeah, Nolan's been just really unfortunate so far this match. Really, obviously missed out on winning the first match by 3 seconds. Which is insanely close. Such a big gap to be, or such a small gap to be the difference between getting 3 points and getting 1 point in this format. Then the second race almost had a chance to come back from the miss birdless, but Origin just about got his act together in time. And yeah, this final match, obviously having what he thought was a soft lock, it's won't be good for Nolan's mentality for this one, and yeah, it's really unfortunate to see. But on the flip side, what's been really good to see is that as a qualifier, Nolan has been able to go toe-to-toe with both Deadtra and Origin in this match. Obviously, with the qualifiers coming in, Nolan had to win the extra match against Acute, which he managed to do, but it's looking like he completely, belongs in this kind of main draw, which is a really good thing. Really good thing to see. It's not, obvious who the qualifier is.
So Deadtra seems to be just taking the lead slightly at the moment, just marginally though. So we see Origin just finishing off the second cycle, with Deadtra starting the final cycle now. So there's probably only 5 to 10 seconds between them at the moment, if that.
Yeah, it's literally just one cycle of hands. That's not too bad at all from Origin's point of view. Although, yeah, hopefully Origin doesn't miss a cycle again here. Yeah, gets the shield up in plenty of time. So yeah, that's all good. Yeah, we'll see Deadtra going for 0 studs here, hopefully with a death. Picks up 10 studs though, that's really unfortunate.
Unlucky. It's really important to also make sure that when you jump off the edge at the end, you're not going to respawn in a point where you're going to pick up studs. So you actually kind of want to walk away from that center tower before jumping off the edge, just to make sure that when you do respawn, you don't pick up studs at the beginning of the cutscene.
Yeah, we'll see both runners go for Icicle Launch now. Looks like Deadtra's getting it first try, very cleanly. No, just falls down. Origin gets the... Oh, that's got to land somewhere.
Same issue.
Origin just needed to nudge a tiny bit to the left. This kind of right side of this slope is just all sloped area, whereas if you go on the left side of it, it's all walkable area. And Deadtra's done the exact same thing, and this looks like a very bad place to fall down. Just about saves it, so we'll fall down on the mountain. That could have been really bad for Deadtra. We'll see Origin, with that, will be in the lead, getting it 5th try, but sometimes 5th try, I guess, is all you need. Deadtra eventually gets it. Yeah, definitely way longer than he would have liked. But see what Origin cooks up here. Going for not fast OTD again, going for the safer strats. And Deadtra having a bit of issue parking his horse before going through into the level as well. So we'll probably see Deadtra swing back and take the lead again with a good OTD. Gets enough height. So yeah, we'll be back in the lead as long as he can get the vertical buddy up. Obviously, Deadtra does do the faster room here. But yeah, Origin probably does the safer version. And I mean, both of them will be in a good position to be through the room, which is always the good sign. Origin, I believe, still doesn't know this camera pan skip. So yeah, we'll just go into the camera pan as per normal. Deadtra with a clean statue launch. Be able to make it a bit further up.
Origin doesn't seem to go for the statue launch, so he has to do a whole extra animation, like cutscene to play. So this is the casual route that you do it, where you have to smash this rock, which creates a rock that you can then hammer in to be able to then jump up. So by doing the statue skip, you're able to just bypass all of this section here.
Yeah, you do save. I think it's only a 10-second save or something, but especially if you've got all the characters up there from, you know, previously doing the safer strats and hitting the camera pan, it's kind of it's kind of just more logical to try and go for it, but it's just not something added to Origin's repertoire yet, which is fine. Going for the spin launch here on this tree, I'd say for Origin, a bit too aggressive on the spinning for the most part. I mean, what I tend to do to set this up is kind of hold upright into the corner of the tree, and then let it build for a couple of seconds, and then do one single spin around. Origin's just kind of getting into the right location and just becoming a Beyblade, spinning around the whole time. So a little bit of a difference there in strategy, but most importantly for Origin, he's through the level, and Nolan's about a level behind him.
And importantly, the level that he's going into is probably one of the trickiest levels to do fast.
Yeah, Nolan, meanwhile, is going for Icicle Launch. That should work. Very nice if you get the disconnect mid-air, because it does technically save a little bit of time. Talking maybe half a second or so. Which is good for Nolan to get that. And probably has caught up to both runners as a result of that. But it is still a way up the road for Origin. There's a whole level difference. Obviously, Deadtra will be obviously Nolan will be going for fast OTD here. Or not, going for the safe strat. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that, if I'm honest. I was expecting Nolan to go for the
Yeah, same.
risky fast OTD there, but I guess hasn't practiced it, so doesn't want to go for it, and that's perfectly fair. Can't blame that.
Yeah, if you're more confident in the trick, that's the one that you should be going for. Especially with fast on the doorstep. There's so much time that can just be lost there if you kind of get like stuck, hyper focused on that trick, and not willing to give it up if it's not working. Deadtra seems to have missed the camera pan skip. So might be a chance for Origin to make up a little bit of time here.
Yeah, but
It's not
Origin
much, but
didn't go for the camera pan skip last time though. He parks Bilbo in the right place, but maybe doesn't go for it or doesn't know the timing for it or something. That goes for it that time. That should work, I think. Maybe not the full D-pad right it could have been, but it should still work okay.
Nolan getting a high launch, but straight into the kill plane.
Origin got the camera pan skip, so that's really good. He's about a floor behind Deadtra right now, which is, you know, that's a jack launch away. As long as Origin can get the chandelier skip, which isn't looking great at the moment. Gets its third try, which is, I guess, okay. There's a much more consistent way of getting at least second try or beyond with hitting the chandelier with Bilbo, and that changes the hitbox of the chandelier, and you tend to be able to get a launch with Varlin to be able to go over the chandelier. But yeah, Origin choosing not to go for that, just focus on the 1P, which is like not the worst strategy in the world, but if you can have that consistency, it might be something that's worth looking into for future runs.
My co-op partner Toast really is keen on doing the setup that Origin does. They much prefer doing it that way. They feel like they've got much more consistency. So it's a kind of, I feel like it's a bit of a mixed thing of what you prefer to get that kind of that skip. But then I personally prefer hitting the chandelier. So there's so many different like setups and options available to the runners.
You have grown slow and fat in your dotage. Slug.
So both runners, both Deadtra and Chaos, in the unskippable cutscene, with Nolan just now entering room 1 of Inside Information.
Get those bellows working.
Yeah,
So
again a long way back from Nolan, but not impossible. What, 3.5 minutes?
Again, in that last run, we saw Origin break the wrong box and have to do that final room casual. So will he make that same mistake again?
The thing is, even if Origin does make that mistake again, you'd hope he at least has some memory of what he just did in that last run. So we'll be able to have, you know, a slightly faster time backing it up. Because I think the lead is around where it was last run, in all honesty. It's a pretty similar distance.
Deadtra getting some nice height on Lost Launch.
That looked like the perfect amount of height. Just about. Origin getting the first launch very, very cleanly. We should really come up with a name for that first launch. I can't believe the other two have one, but that one doesn't. We'll brainstorm that at some point. But Mrs. Loz launch again. Seems to be a consistent thing.
In the last 2 runs, he's had trouble with this launch, but doesn't have trouble this time. Gets it first try. This is going to really be able to like slowly catch up.
I have a sneaking suspicion Origin might be pacing PB right about now. Or at least close to it. Origin's PB at the moment is a 28.07. And I think from here out, if everything goes cleanly, it is about minute 30 or something, maybe a bit less.
Yeah, that's the number I had in my head.
It depends how long Origin setup for Jack launch goes for. Once he gets to about the point where he's like about to throw the torches at Smaug, I say that's about 40-50 seconds. So very possible. With a clean Jack launch. We'll see Deadtra, of course, will be first to Jack launch, and we'll see how that goes.
Having some... Oh. Never mind.
Struggled a little bit with the setup there, but got it eventually. Yeah, just had to clear the pieces and gets first try actual launch once he got around to it. Not too bad. And with that, we see our very first sweep of the tourney. Three races, 3 wins, 9 points. Very nicely done from Deadtra. Very strong performance here. And yeah, we'll see if Origin will be able to close this out. Obviously, Nolan is in the unskippable cutscene, but Origin hasn't broken a box this time. Is this PB potential? Gets the launch. And with that, finishes off the run with a 27:42 final time. That is a 25-second PB for Origin of Chaos. Huge GG's for that. Yeah, that's a very nice time. Good to see Origin back and PBing 25 seconds. I'm not sure what the real time was. Real time was a 28:14, so RTA was only 7 seconds off, but on the boards that counts as a PB. So GG's to Origin. Deadtra, of course, taking the 9 points. We'll see if Nolan wants to finish this run out or not.
I wonder if he's watching the stream at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like Nolan wants to finish this run out. To be fair, we haven't spoken about it, but this Nolan run, when you consider it was a good 2.5, 3 minutes lost to
Yeah.
to believing that soft lock at the start. I think if we discount that, Nolan is pretty near PB pace. Obviously will have to be retimed. Nolan's PB being a was it 28:15? I believe. If we assume 3 minutes lost here, it's not too far out of the realms of possibility for this to be a PB for Nolan. Needs to wait for this debris to clear, which is a little bit annoying. One of the downsides of missing Loz launch, but that setup does seem to work significantly cleaner. And we'll see. Yeah, this could happen for Nolan. At the very least, it could be a sub 30 run, which is not bad at all.
Having a little trouble swapping characters, but gets it eventually. It can be a little bit annoying with the camera when it messes up like that.
So yeah, as 2 races are finished, we can do the final point standing as well. It is 3 points for a win, 1 point for second place, and then no points for last place, which means that Deadtra got 9 points from this. Origin has picked up 2 points, and with that takes second place, and Nolan has the 1 point. Those are now updated on the screen. Yeah, big GG's to Deadtra and Origin, but Nolan unfortunately will be eliminated. We'll see this Jack launch. Again, a clean Jack launch, and Nolan will not be too far off of PB. But a clean Jack launch is always a bit of a question mark. Looks like the setup went pretty clean.
He also had the wrong character. Almost gets the target piece stuck in that gap. That is a really frustrating thing to happen when that happens.
Love that Origin's now having a dance party to celebrate the PB. We love to see it. And Nolan gets the launch. Nicely done. and finishes with a 31-44. That's not too bad from Nolan, in all honesty. Given the soft block, that would have been around, I think, a 28, high 28, when the PB is, you know, only a mid, or only a low 28. That's not bad at all from Nolan there. But yeah, that is
incredible run.
yes. That is it for this race in particular. So yeah, with that, Deadtra will be going through to the second rung next week. We'll be playing against Loyalist and second place in the next match, the rung 3 match. Origin will be in the third rung, which is the elimination rung again next week, but we'll be playing against Flaming Laser and the third place in rung 3. Nolan is unfortunately eliminated from the tournament there, but made a good run through winning the qualifier to be able to get to this point. So yeah, with that, I think we are good to tell you what matches are coming up next. So next up we have on the tomorrow, even at an early one, 6:30 a.m. EST, which is 10:30 a.m. UTC. We will have Olive playing against Julikos versus Mugen, which is the rung 3 match and the final match of week 1. And then of course we will start to get the week 2 matches scheduled. But yeah, until then, any last words, Mega?
Nah, that was amazing between all the runners. It was so close the entire time. It was really enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, so fantastic. Yeah, GG's to all runners again, and we will see you all soon.